Just gonna do a quick first look at the bobas I just got. These are the Boba U4Ts by Gazu. I believe they're manufactured by Otemu. I'm gonna put them up against the glorious pandas. I have all of mine are lubed and filmed. All the tactile switches here, so I've got pandas, zealios, and bobas. All of the tactile switches I have are lubed with Trebosis 3204. The glorious pandas are filmed. The zealios are not, and I've lubed and filmed a Boba U4T along with a stock Boba U4T. So we're gonna toss them into my NK65 and we're gonna see how they feel. I'm gonna turn off my noise gate now and we will see. So first off, I'm just gonna do like a reference sound. These are tangerines in the Boba, or tangerines in the NK65, so not tactile. Here we go. Let's just do it in the middle of the keyboard here. Okay, let's get this switch out. Here is a glorious panda, lubed and filmed. Here we go. I'm going to be testing all the tactile switches in the F position. Here is a lubed zealios, not filmed. You can hear the zealios is noticeably higher pitched than the others. Here is a stock Boba U4T. And finally, let's check out the lubed and filmed Boba U4T. Okay, so first impressions. The zealios are still, in terms of feel, the smoothest. The pandas do sound pretty good, but their smoothness is a little bit less, and their stem wobble is kind of great. I don't know if you can tell here, but the bobas have pretty much no stem wobble. Pretty tight, especially on a filmed top. These kind of just don't wobble. I did notice that the F key is sitting a little tiny bit lower than the other keys. I don't know if that's because these switches are a little bit shorter. They are. So that is one thing to keep in mind. I don't know if you can tell super well, but the bobas are actually a little tiny bit shorter. Tangerines. Not that you would ever put these two in the same keyboard, because that would be kind of weird. I mean, like, obviously they don't compare in smoothness to a tangerine lubed with 205 grade 0. It's a thicker lube. And they're linear, so obviously the smoothness won't compare, but the sound is nice and deep. even on an aluminum plate. And they don't seem to have too much of a high-pitched clack on the way out. Which is kind of the point of the Bobas. They sound really, really consistent on the way up and down, especially with lube and film. I think in terms of smoothness and tactility, I would put the Zeals still as the most tactile, because it's a nice sharp tactility. The glorious pandas are a little bit below the Zeals, but not far. The Bobas are very similar to the pandas, but I found the Bobas to have a much nicer sound, especially in regards to spring and leaf noise. The Bobas once lubed have pretty much none, whereas the pandas still retain a lot of that leaf crunch. So in terms of sound, I would rate the Bobas as the best. In tactility, the three are discernibly, like, they're not noticeably different. It helps that all three were lubed, so they're not all like crazy tactile. Yeah, the glorious panda's leaf and spring noise is just insane. It doesn't matter which switch I take out. They do have a nice sounding housing. Maybe like a top housing swap is worth taking a look at. But the Bobas, pretty nice first impressions. The smoothness is excellent. All three of these switches are pretty nice and smooth, especially with some 3204. But the sound inboard, I would give handily to the U4Ts. The extra long stems that they have really lends itself to a nice, full, rich sound.